Welcome to Kingdomize, the podcast, where we discuss how to see our lives and our world through a kingdom lens, how to infuse kingdom culture into our families, our workplaces, and our cities, as we all participate in the dream of Jesus to see his kingdom on earth as it is in heaven. So welcome back to Kingdomize, the podcast. I am here today with my good friend Ian Green. Ian, you are repping Canada today. You have got your red shirt on. It's so amazing. Look at that. I'm not even repping Canada that well. Well, how are you? How are you doing?
Man, I'm doing great. We're in the middle of a fantastic summer here in England. I know some of you don't think we have summers in England, but we really do. And we've had no rain since April, or hardly any rain since April. People are gagging about that, but I'm absolutely loving it. Brown lawn, not green lawn, but hey, we can live with that.
I was going to bring up your lawn because I saw pictures of you taking care of your lawn not too long ago. So very nice straight lines. I'm a fan of a good straight line on a lawn. So well done. I don't know how this fits with Kingdomize everything, but we are Kingdomizing Ian's lawn today. So we're in a series that it's like back in the day, the song that doesn't end, it goes on and on, my friends. That is this series, Kingdomize everything. And again, I've said this before, but because we called it everything, well, it could be everything, could go on forever. But again, the goal is, how do you get kingdom in real time everywhere, all the time, everyone, every Christian engaged? We would say that Jesus was serious when he said he wanted his kingdom on earth as it is in heaven. It wasn't just a lovely prayer, although it was a good prayer, but it's more than that. And we are taking another run today at the government. Not a run like a bad run, but a run. And one of the things that we find doesn't get talked enough about under the banner of government is just the average human getting engaged in their cities. So often when we talk about government, it's like, we're going to help you run to be a mayor or a city councilor or an MP or an MVP or whatever. But there's so many other avenues, so many other facets that make cities and nations run. And we really felt like we wanted to talk about that to honor those that feel called to bring influence where they are. And one of the phrases that I've used for many, many years now is that you can't have influence without involvement. If you want to influence your city, which you do, that's part of who we are called to seek the welfare of our cities. Jeremiah 29, verse 7, right? Everyone knows verse 11, where it's like, God's got good plans for us, not to harm us, but give us hope in a future. But in the midst of that discussion that Jeremiah is having with the people of Israel, as they're in Babylon in exile, he says, seek the peace of your city. Seek the welfare of your city. If it prospers, you prosper. And that's what today is all about, is telling some stories, biblical understanding, foundation of let's do something in our cities that causes it to flourish. The people flourish, the systems flourish, and the kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. What do you think about that, Ian? That sounds like a good plan, right?
We have a good plan. I mean, I think we would probably put this under the banner of civic engagement rather than just political engagement. It would cover a whole plethora of different areas and arenas that we could find ourselves engaged in and bringing the kingdom and being positive and helping our communities to thrive. So yeah, we're excited about today.
Yeah. When we talked about government last time, we went to 1 Peter chapter 2, and very common verse 13, submit yourselves to every ordinance of man for the Lord's sake, whether it's to the king as supreme or to governments or governors as those that are sent by him to punish evildoers. Well, we don't want to get punished, but contextually, we talked about this before, is that verse 12 talks about living honorably. And I love how it says in the Message version, it says, live an exemplary life in your neighborhood so that your actions will refute their prejudices, those that are prejudiced against the gospel. Then you'll have won them over to God's side and be there to join in the celebration when he arrives. And I love how that just makes it so practical, down to earth, civic engagement. So that's where we're going today. We're going to hear some stories. We're going to tell some stories. We're going to give it more biblical context. And so Here we go. Where do you want to start? What's your first story?
So I moved to a new town about 4 years ago, where I'd previously been. I'd been there 30 years. And so when you come to a new town, we found a community of faith that we belong to. That was good. But I really wanted to have some kind of friends, gospel targets, friends outside of the church. And also, I believe in what Jesus said, in Matthew 28, 19 and 20 about discipling nations, which that means ethnicity or a singular group of people with a certain culture. And so I decided in all of that, I'm going to join the tennis club. I love tennis. I'm not very good, but I like playing. And so they let me in at the bottom level, which was fantastic. And the stream I'm in is called social tennis. So after we play tennis for an hour or two, then we go to the bar or to the coffee shop, and we yak on for 30, 40 minutes, maybe an hour after that. So it's just a great opportunity to get to know people and people to get to know you. And I'd been there, I don't know, 6 or 7 months, and I don't know if one of my emails, I have a number of email signatures, but one of them has author, speaker, wherever. And one of the guys had got a hold of that. He'd got a hold of that email somehow that I'd sent, and he says, "Oh, so you're an author?" I says, "Yeah, I am." He says, "What's your book about? What's your book about?" I says, "Well, I've written on faith." He jumped straight back at me. He says, "Oh, I've got some fantastic stories on faith." I says, "Awesome, tell me one." So he told me numbers for about 45 minutes, and they were nearly all new age, supernatural interruptions, right? And so I thought, you know what? I'm really not there to pull him up. I'm not there to correct him. I'm there to have influence. And so I says, "That's really, really interesting, Dan. That's really interesting. Look, I see that you're going now, but when we come back together, I want to be able to tell you some of my stories because they're pretty exciting too." And so that opened a whole conversation. And so there was a consultant there in that group, and retired stomach consultant, but a brilliant thinker, one of those lifelong learners, still reading medicine and whatever. He says to me, "Oh, Ian, I don't have faith. I don't have faith to believe in God." I says, "Really, John?" I says, I don't have enough faith not to believe in God." So I didn't want a banter in front of 25 people, right? But
Sure.
I just planted the seed. With Dan and with John, and we're gonna revisit, right? We're gonna revisit those conversations. And so I am looking at, okay, I'm in this position, I'm in this place, I'm building friendships, I'm talking to people. Judith and myself have been deciding, so who are the first people we should invite to our home? Maybe we have some wine and cheese or something. So we're intentionally thinking how those initial relationships can begin to bring something of the kingdom into their world. And so we're right at the beginning, and it's slower than I hoped, but it's going somewhere, and we're happy about that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. When you're bringing up the sports stuff, I reminded of, so back in my youth pastor days, we were intentionally, the youth pastors in our area, we were finding ways to get into our schools on purpose, right? And so a number of us, we had some sports backgrounds, so we would go in and coach. And so I coached basketball, I coached football. Back when you and I met, that's one of the things we were doing. You were doing schools in the UK looking for help, so we brought teams over. But but through that, it's amazing how the kids in your church, they see you when they see you on their school, it's a totally different thing. But then they go, "Hey, that's my youth pastor," blah blah blah. But it goes beyond that, because when I was doing it, I would say to them, I said, "You tell your teachers I'm an expert on everything. If they ever need a guest speaker, that's what I would say. If they ever need a guest speaker, I am an expert on everything, and I can talk about anything they want." And so I had so many invitations to the schools as a guest speaker in a classroom because I was an expert on everything. And because they knew me, because I was a coach in the school and they knew me, it opened that door to be able to do it out of relationship. And man, I love those days. It was fantastic. It actually met a need. So school teams can't go forward unless they have coaches. It can't just be the teachers there, although there had to be a teacher involved, but they have so many extracurricular stuff anyway. So it added to honoring those in the school, but then giving a place of influence as well. And those were great days. I love that. As what we're doing now, we're just finding similar ways to stay engaged in our cities as well.
Sometimes you get sanitized and you've been in an environment for a long time and you're blind to everything. But when you come into a new environment, you actually see things. So one of the things that Judith, my wife, saw when we moved to the city, that the church had like a club, a small club, 30 to 50 people who were either refugees or immigrants who wanted to learn English. And she's a school teacher and she loves teaching, right? She loves teaching. And so she engaged, and we had Afghans, we had Syrians, of course we had a lot of Ukrainians, anyway, number of different nationalities, and they were graded in terms of what the competency in each level. And so as she kind of did this for 2 or 3 years, some rapport began to build up with the students, and so she's getting, as they're getting better at English, they text now, "Oh, we appreciate you, Miss," I call her Miss Green. "We appreciate you, Miss Green. You're so kind. You're so whatever." And so come to Christmas, they decided to have a bit of a Christmas party for all the students. So, but they decided, okay, there's a number of those, particularly the Ukrainians. They got sons, they've got husbands on the front line. Is tormenting for them, when their language is little, they bring up their photograph, they show a newsreel with bombs hitting, Kyiv and wherever, And so we decided that particular Christmas that we says anybody who wants prayer or who would like to pray, we lit a candle in one corner of the church, very large candle. And so if you want prayer, go on the right side of the candle. If you just want to pray, go on the left side of the candle. It was shockingly brilliant. Probably 35 of the 50 students went there. I mean, I think those from Afghanistan with a Muslim background, they were a little nervous about that whole procedure. But what it did, it opened up more conversations, right? It opened up more, because you're teaching English, you don't know what they know, you don't know what they believe. Their language is so limited to even have a decent conversation in that first or second year is quite difficult. But what that did, that opened up an opportunity to talk about faith, give your testimony. I know this is based at the church. Church is not, we didn't say this, the church is not evangelizing you. We're actually here to serve you. We're here to bless you. This is who we are as a community of faith. This is what we want. And it's just been absolutely remarkable. Now, that season has come to an end, but the students are still texting Judith. And we have a coffee shop at the church, and so he says, "Look, I'm going to go be at the coffee shop on a Thursday night. If you want to improve your English or you just want to hang out." Well, numbers of them are just tuning up because they just want to hang out. I mean, it's fantastic. And so it's minimal influence, right? But it's been intentional to begin to build the bridge into people's lives where there's openness and you becoming who you are and bringing Jesus, not preaching inverted commas the gospel, bringing Jesus in kindness, in goodness, which is going to lead us somewhere, right? It's always going to lead us somewhere to a good place. And so that's been quite fantastic.
Yeah, really good. And you know this already, but one of the scriptures we leaned on heavily at the church at Freedom House with the stuff we were doing was Matthew 5, where it talks about good works. Christians sometimes have a problem with good works. It's like, well, we're not saved by good works. And of course, the answer to that is, you're right. We're not saved by works, but after you're saved, you work. It says there, they'll see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. So there's a discussion about salt and light and good works, and like you're a city on a hill. So there's something about being seen doing these things. And if you do it well with humility, you can point to God, not in a condemning way, but actually in a, hey, we're here for you because God loves you. And so totally what you're saying makes sense. So Ian, we have this group that we run, you and I, we run a group called our Kingdomize runs, Kingdomize Your Business. And we have a couple people from that group, well, all of them actually, but we have a couple people we can talk about today. And one of them is actually going to be on our next series called Solutionaries. But these are people that are, man, they've caught the transformation bug. They've caught the idea of being engaged in their city, civic engagement. And so you can pick whichever one you want to talk about. You can pick whoever you want.
So first of all, I want to talk about Claire. And I tell you, when she is on our next series, the Solutions series, you have to listen to the whole podcast because it is flipping incredible. I'm not going to probably do it justice in terms of
just give us
the magnitude of what she's done and what she's taken on board. She lives in the next town to us. The next town is called Worcester. There are some areas of fairly highly deprived areas in that city. She has done a number of things in the past, run mothers and toddlers, helping people to get into work and whatever. But she saw this opportunity, which seemed absolutely crazy to her. There was a kind of a building that belonged to the city, wasn't being used, is a bit scabby. Anyway, she inquired, and so what she was doing in the other places, well, can we transfer it into that place? Can we transfer it into that place? So, but we could maybe ramp up some of the services that we do and not just do mothers and toddlers, not just get into work schemes. Maybe we could run a daycare center from there. Anyway, so eventually the city said, okay, you can do that, but she says, it's ugly, the building's ugly, like, so can we kind of fix it up? Yeah, you can fix it up. And just like 2 weeks ago, somebody from not the main city but the area said, Claire, you can't use the building until the car park is fixed because it's dangerous. The car park is dangerous. Says, well, the people before us have been using it for 10 years. Like, no one said anything to them. So this is, yeah, you're going to have to get that fixed. Well, how much is that going to cost? Well, you'll have to go and get some quotes. Well, it was about £7,000, which is about, $12,000. And so she hasn't got any money, and she's going, oh my gosh, we got everything lined up. We got the program lined up. I've launched the website. We got the social media campaign going, and now we can't blink and open. And so she's praying and got other people to pray to say, can you stand with us? And so she had this hunch that she should go to the main city, not the sub city, but the main city, and say, hey, so this is a bit ridiculous. We're ready to rock and roll in just 3 weeks from now, and they telling us we can't rock and roll because the car park's not up to standard. Yet the people before us, they operated for 10 years without the car, and they want me to pay for it. We're a charity. We are serving the city. We're serving the community. Like, is anything that you guys can do? And almost immediately the person in charge said, Claire, you shouldn't do that. We'll get that car park fixed, and we'll do it in the next 10 days. Fantastic. And so now they've spruced the building up. It's absolutely completely different. Me and Judith went round them a few weeks ago. It's just fantastic. They've had some prayer meetings in there. The car park is done, and they're ready to rock and roll. And she just knows, because of where it's situated, they're going to meet deep, very deep social needs in that community, for mothers and toddlers, for people who need daycare for their children, for those who need to get back into work, for those who need care. And it's going to be absolutely brilliant. But she is going to tell the story in a few weeks' time. But she caught the spirit of, hey, I'm not just going to run a program. I'm going to change this community. I'm not just going to run programs. I'm going to actually change the very atmosphere and function of this deprived area, and we are going to make it thrive. Love it, love it, love it.
That's amazing. And yeah, and Claire on our program, on our Kingdomize Your Business program, she was like eating that stuff up and she's taking notes, and she would come in and have another great story, or I need you to pray today about, it was like every day she had a, today God's got to do this, and then she'd come back and here's what God did. It was so fantastic. So that's going to be a great podcast when she's on with us. I probably should, and I will put a shameless plug in here. If you're listening today and you, what is a Kingdomize Your Business? Well, that's our 12-week course for kingdom-minded business people that want to, you've had some success in what you do, but not as much impact as you wanted to in your community. So we want to help you understand your calling. We want you to understand the lifestyle that comes with that, and then how to engage and impact your community. So if that's you, you should get a hold of us. We would love to chat with you about that. Ian, you should tell another story about, we should tell Andy's story about another guy from our KY.
Oh yeah, Andy Hamill. So I've known Andy, I don't know, 20 plus years. Great guy. Being in what we would classify in the UK as the third sector, which is a social sector, for many, many years, supported himself in that, doing consulting and whatever. But now he runs quite a massive organization called the Boys and Girls Clubs of England and Wales. They have 3,000. They have 3,000 clubs in England and Wales. And through our engagement, and particularly through Kingdomize Your Business, we began to explore with him maybe how he could get the kingdom of God to flow through the organizational structure of a secular organization. Now, we're at the early days with that, right? We're at the very early days of discussing how that could be. But what perked him up was he realized that, hey, I'm in a place of influence. How do I make my influence count? How do I do that? And oftentimes what happens, right, when you begin to think like that, other opportunities come your way, right? So he had found out that Bruce Springsteen was actually playing at a gig fairly near one of their clubs. And so he reached out to the management team of Bruce Springsteen and says, hey, would you guys like to bring Bruce around? It'd be great to have you in our club. This is what we do. We teach people to box. We teach people this and that and the other. It'd be great if you could, and to their amazement, right? He said, yeah, Bruce would love to do that. Bruce Springsteen goes to this dead-end community where this club is being operated, where they're working on a shoestring, and it was just fantastic. The point I'm trying to make is this, is when your mind opens up to, I can be a person of influence, you are going to be remarkably encouraged by other people who are maybe more significant than you, have greater influence than you, but you can bring them into your environment. And because Andy was able to bring Bruce Springsteen into one of his clubs, his collateral has gone up, right? So now his level of influence, his level of acceptance is capital collateral has gone up, and so it's fantastic. And so, you know, we just do simple things, we just move forward simply, and suddenly God opens all kinds of doors to us, and it's a step at a time. And that's what Andy's actually discovered.
Yeah, really good. And I know that one of the things Andy told me after that was they gave him, I believe, 10 passes, which became backstage passes for the concert as well.
Wow.
So there was 10 of them from the club that went to the concert, went and met Bruce afterwards and stuff, and just said it was amazing. So really, really good. So we're telling you these stories not to say, look at how good we are. These people are good, although they're good people. We're not saying they're not, but to let you know that there are places in your city, your community, that could use help. And you're going to find when you do this, and everyone I've talked to, I experienced it, everyone I've talked to has found that there are so many good people in our cities, in our communities, doing good things. And sometimes the cities, you get bad raps, or media picks up the bad rap, but you're going to find when you do this, when you step out, even in a small way, if you think it's small, you're going to find it. You're going to start rubbing shoulders with other people. And you're going to find that there are many, many people in your city that want the same things you do. They may not word it the way you do. They may not put a Bible verse by it. But, I say all the time, there's nobody in our cities that wants poverty or homelessness or ... Nobody wants that. And so finding ways to bring practical solutions, as we said earlier, doing good works, so they glorify a Father in heaven. And I will share one more, because this was a great connection for us at our church with our mayor. And so I had spent a number of years building relationship with our mayor, and then I became the guy that ran the church network in the city called One Church. And we were building relationship with the mayor again, trying to expand that. And so we brought him in to speak to our churches and our network. And, we asked him, hey, so we're here to serve you. How can we help? And, he said, well, we've got the typical issues that every city has. We do have homelessness. We do have drug issues. Every city has these things. He goes, here's my thing. He goes, I know that there are kids in our city, and they go to school every day hungry. If you could help us solve that, if you could do something about that, I would be very grateful. And so Chris left the meeting, and we immediately started a task force to feed kids. And so we started this task force. We started feeding kids in the schools. We connected with a group that was already doing it, but we expanded what they were doing. We went beyond that to start adopting schools. To go, it's not just the food programs. Looks like you need help here. We're glad to help. And so we had churches and Christian business people around the schools that actually adopted the schools to just make them better places for the teachers, for the students, for the leaders there. So and I can tell you, if you serve these people and love them, they will welcome you. I know it might start with a little tension, but because of how the church has maybe been received before. But just show up. Be Jesus with flesh on. Just be a good human. Love God, love people. Don't be an idiot. And things will go okay for you. It'll go fine. Yeah.
Look, there's lots of things that we can do. I know in the UK there's school boards, and when I was speaking in churches, I would say to the congregation, you got kids that are in school, and you can go on the school council. Don't even pray about it. Just do it. Just do it. Because it's an opportunity to bring the kingdom and to bring Jesus. You don't have to be preaching. You don't have to be turning up with your Bible. You don't have, you don't have to have a text on your forehead. Like, just be kind. Just be good. Just bring God's wisdom in, and it can be absolutely transformational. So just encourage you, sometimes you just need to walk around your city in the time of day where you normally don't walk around the city. So if you're kind of one of those people, you're in bed with hot chocolate at 9:30, okay, break the routine. Okay, break the routine. Get in the car, start driving around your city at 10 o'clock at night, and just say, Jesus, show me something. Just show me something. And you are going to be amazed. Or the network of people that you find yourself in, you may be at the school gates as you drop your kids off, and you start having conversations, and you start picking up on particular needs. Maybe there's people there that have got some kind of post-traumatic experiences because of what has happened in their lives. You go, okay, is there anything we can do to help that? Is there any way that we can help to serve them? And if, as you begin to open your heart and open your mind, it's amazing the roads and the routes that God will take you down, that you can be Jesus exactly where you are. It's not all raising your hands, clapping, singing, and levitating on a Sunday morning. The action starts Monday to Saturday, and it's fantastic.
That's awesome. Yeah, and you don't have to stop levitating. Like if you're doing that, we don't want to stop the levitators. So clap hard, worship hard, levitate hard. But then on Monday, go and love people. It'll be great. So we just want to touch on a few stories today. We intentionally wanted to bring it down from some of those higher level governmental discussions that are often had in this scenario to go, hey, there's other ways to serve in your city, to be engaged in your city, civic engagement that actually, by ongoing, consistent, long-term engagement, can actually change the culture of neighborhoods and cities. And so we want to strongly encourage you to do it. Go for a drive, as Ian suggested. Find a way to find some needs and step in. Live by courage. Just courageously step in and say, yeah, I can do that. I can seek the welfare of my city, because if it prospers, I know we're going to prosper too. And so we encourage you to do that. And it'll be good for you. It'll be good for your city. So again, we want to thank you for tuning in today to Kingdomize the podcast. And if when we talked about the Kingdomize your business, something tweaked and said, I got a business, I want it to be better, more kingdom, you should get a hold of us right away. We have another course starting September 25. So you need to get a hold of us very quickly. Spots are filling up. So get a hold of us. We will talk you through it, see if it's a good fit for you and for us. And if you've enjoyed this podcast, or even if you didn't, you should like it. You should subscribe. You should share it with somebody. For just the very reason of how good Ian looked today, you should share it. And you should come back next week and listen again to Kingdomize the podcast. Thanks for joining us today on Kingdomize the podcast. Let's keep the discussion going throughout the week on our socials or on our website, kingdomizeglobal.com. Contact us today to see how we can walk together to see more of God's kingdom in your city as it is in heaven.